Hello, welcome to the Birdwatching channel. I'm your host Sharon Sorensen, here to talk about how winter birds switch to spring. Recent weeks here in late February dealt birdwatchers some out-of-routine experiences. Black-colored birds like European starlings in winter plumage versus summer plumage, common grackles with their iridescence, brown-headed cowbirds, both males and females, and red-winged blackbirds. Too many of all of them ate so much birdseed that stores sold out. Still, many folks spied new species in their yards. Yellow-headed sapsuckers, which are migratory woodpeckers that sometimes winter here but more often show up in late fall and early spring, popped up at soot feeders. Fox sparrows, good-sized sparrows that do winter here but breed in the high Arctic, showed face among their other little brown bird friends, typically alone. American tree sparrows, those pretty little things, and white-crowned sparrows made appearances, both driven to feeders when their usual food sources disappeared under 10 inches of snow and ice. They blended in readily with white-throated sparrows, both the white morph and the tan-morphed white-throated sparrow, our more common wintering sparrows. At least one area resident hosted a hermit thrush most of the winter. Not unheard of, but not common either. Another family found pleasure in a rare overwintering Nashville warbler, until sadly the freezing rain pelted it with more than it could endure. And many folks enjoyed a first yard sighting of ruby-crowned kinglets. Often, of course, their ruby crowns don't show. Those who searched open fields for winter birds reaped rewards this year with Lapland longspurs, high Arctic, open tundra breeders that rarely venture this far south, and then typically only in the most bitter blizzard-like conditions. Sometimes longspurs forage in the company of our year-round resident horned larks. Meanwhile, bald eagles are on the nest, some already with eggs. And judging by the duets of barred owl pairs on recent dreary afternoons, it's a safe bet they, too, have nesting underway. In short, severe winter weather changed the birding landscape in yards and across the area, perhaps causing some of us to think bird life has changed too. Well, in fact, routine bird life just marches on. And now, as the month of March stares us down, more routine changes are fast-tracking our way. Those short-eared owls that graced evenings across area open grasslands will leave, heading back to the high Arctic to breed. Snow geese, both the white morph and the blue morph in massive flocks, and white-fronted geese will do likewise, back to the Arctic. After this phenomenal eruption year, pine siskins, red-breasted nuthatches, and purple finches, both males and females, will make their way back north, perhaps leaving us in their absence for several years before they return. Dark-eyed juncos, males and females, white-throated sparrows, which we've already shown, and all the other winter sparrows will start moving. We'll see them off and on for some time yet, as those that wintered farther south will venture through here after hours, quote-unquote, have already moved on. And often, just when I think they're all gone, another little wavelet flits through. During the next few weeks, Carolina wrens will begin stuffing mailboxes and overturned flower pots and anything else they can find with last year's leaves and other garden detritus. Bluebirds will check out real estate and begin nest building. And those folks watching and listening will catch signs of the first migrants. Eastern phoebes and tree swallows lead the massive parade winging back north to breed. Phoebes coming by ones and twos, swallows arriving en masse, flocking together until pairs drop off at their preferred breeding territories. By month's end, northern parulas, yellow-throated warblers, and blue-gray gnatcatchers will have landed, and by singing, will have already marked their territorial claims. So in spite of the brutal last few weeks, in spite of how it left us all a bit discombobulated, the seasonal changes remain, yes, routine. Birds reacting to length of day rather than degrees of temperature march on, going about their seasonal routine. And so the first migrating ruby-throated hummingbird reached the Gulf Coast this last week of February. Well, I hope you've enjoyed talking about how things switch around from winter to spring among the birding population. And if you'd like to learn more about bird watching, maybe you could check out one or more of my books called Birds in the Yard Month by Month, How Birds Behave, or Planting Native to Attract Birds to Your Yard. Or visit my website, birdsintheyard.com, or join me on Facebook, where I talk about birds or bird habitat almost every day. Meanwhile, I wish you well, and I wish you always good birds in your binoculars.